That's
Like I
awesome.
said, we're going to talk about your book, but we have to acknowledge all the kind of the paths that we all have to go down to be able to get to where we are. And I think it would be easy for somebody to look at you and say, like, wow, she's super fit, she's super healthy, they're so successful in this business and all the franchises they're opening, and that's growing. And she just wrote a book seemingly in a weekend. Like, all this stuff that you were able to accomplish, and we forget all the challenges. I think we do that in our personal lives as well, looking back at our own journeys and thinking we should be further along than we are, but not acknowledging where we've come from. And so if you could kind of remind us your own personal story, how you got into health, which I find super interesting. And yeah, you've gone through a lot.
I just want to emphasize what you just said because there is so much truth to that. And in the social media world that we all live in, where everyone's sharing their highlights, I mean, we talk about this, but like we are still guilty of it. And I'm still guilty of it. I'm like, oh, should we share when we cry? I don't know. I don't want to be the crying girl on Instagram, but it's nobody just arrives ever. And 100% happy to share the story. The crazy thing is, I started journaling back in 2007. So lots and lots of years ago. And every time that I wanted to give up in this newest journey of writing a book, I would go back to an old journal, which I literally had a stack of them, Casey, and
Wow.
I would flip a few pages and I would write down goals. I would like to write a book. I would like to write a book. I would like to write a book. And it was just that constant reminder that even when things seem difficult, confusing, hard, just keep going. There's this newish trend. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram where people are like, in 2008, you will be approached to start this business. Like, it's very important that you do. Like, that trend kind of ticks me off because you don't know the thing that's going to work. You don't know the thing that's going to hit. I actually think it's more important to say there's going to be multiple times throughout your life where you're going to want to give up, and it's important you keep going. Like, no matter what it is, you know?
Yeah, that's very well said. I love that. It sounds like with all the journals that you were writing, you were actually writing a book and just never published your journals. It sounds like quite stacked. But yeah, let's start with kind of the health journey. When did you kind of start to become conscious of wanting to be a healthy, fit person?
2007, started journaling, started being aware of the fact that I didn't want to be overweight and heavy. So I had just graduated college. I had become a teacher, which was my lifelong dream. Started going for all my degrees that I had. And driving to my teaching job was, I don't know, just like I guess a big smack in the face because I was about 30 pounds overweight. I had all my degrees, I had all the markings of success. I got my first job in my dream district. Again, life looked great on the outside. And even when I post pictures of myself being 30 pounds overweight from back then, I love people, you looked great. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not really posting about how I looked. The whole post is about how I felt. And oftentimes I think that that's more important. I felt like I lacked confidence. I didn't feel good in my skin. I had a lot of digestive issues that I was going with, which is why I post that, because I think it's important to share how important our gut health is to every other facet of our body. I was falling asleep behind the driving wheel, and not because I was drinking or doing drugs, but I was so hopped up on sugar, I couldn't stay awake. And, I share the pictures because for me it was the season, but it was all the underlying things that people didn't see that were going on that actually began to craft this vision, urge, desire to want to be healthy, to want to feel good in my skin, to want to walk in a room and feel confident, or even just into my closet and not feel like I had to try on every single thing in the closet, throw it all on my bed, trudge to my teaching job, come home, and then have to like put the laundry away every single day because I'd taken everything out of my closet and dresser just to get dressed for that day. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So that is where this all started.
Yeah, gotcha. Tell us about the teaching career itself. Was that kind of all it was cracked up to be? I know eventually you ended up leaving and are quite happy doing fitness, but what were things that went well with your career and things that maybe you did not like about being a teacher?
Yes, I think the great things about teaching is a teacher is a special person, just like a nurse is a special person or a coach is a special person. I think you have to have that personality where you want to see other people win and succeed. I think you could probably sum my experience and opinion of education up in the fact that I did teach in public school for 7 years, and I have now been a homeschooler of 7 years. So the fact that that is matched, what I spent in the public school. My kids actually just asked the other day, they're 11 and 8 years old, Mom, did you like teaching? And the truth is, I really did. But they were like, so, like, why did you leave? I mean, because they love their arrangement, by the way, that they can, get in class in their pajamas and hang out. I love more than anything that we can have 3 meals a day together. But they're like, why did you leave? And my answer was school just felt like such a waste of time. It's 6 hours, but you're in transition. You're in the hallway. You're in home. Like, what is homeroom? Homeroom was just a place that I goofed off. I don't know about you, but like, there's all this wasted time. And after I taught for 6 hours, I would line up 3 or 4 tutoring clients. So on my way home, I would stop at different people's houses and spend an hour at each house. So I'm not getting home till 9 o'clock at night. I was hustling back then. And I would go and sit one on one with a child. And it was incredible, Casey, how much we can get accomplished in an hour. And not that public school should be a one-on-one situation, but you have to start to wonder, can one teacher really teach 32 kids? And I do think the answer is yes, but can they do it well? And that's where I have some questions. So the ability, I mean, I always wanted to start my own school. God's sense of humor was it was my kitchen table with my 2 kids, and we've done co-ops and pods and all sorts of different iterations of homeschool. But I love the time that I personally get with our kids. I think that probably that's one of the biggest things our country misses out on in that family unit is that we lose so many hours as a family. And I think that there's a lot of breakdown that comes from that.
Yeah, interesting. I go back to thinking like kind of pre-pandemic. I believe if you would have asked me what I thought of homeschooling before the pandemic, I would have said like, those kids are going to grow up weird and all the things you hear, like whatever. And now I am so on board with doing homeschool, and the parents that do it seem like they love it. The kids seem like they love it. They are smart and engaged and excel at sports and get to eat great food, like you mentioned. I think is so important. So thank you for sharing that aspect of the journey. I think that's important. Concordant with your health journey, being aware that you wanted to be healthy and knowing, you had some cognitive dissonance going on of like, I want to be healthy, but I can't. I don't know what to do. Was anything successful before you met Mike?
No. Like literally, like no. I mean, I tried to work out on my own. I would spend 2 hours a day in the gym doing cardio. That didn't work. I tried the elliptical. I tried the treadmill. That didn't work. I did ridiculous crash diets. I took I can't even remember the name of the drug, but I remember it was like a little like caffeine pill basically. And I remember sitting junior year of science, like it was chemistry. Like my heart is just like pounding in my chest. So I did try everything under the sun that was available to me, at 16, 17, 18 years old. And in short, no, none of it worked.
Got it. What brought you into Pure?
Literally driving by this gym on my way to my dream teaching job, I was really fascinated by the headline that he had at the time. It was half the time and double the results. I'm like, well, that sounds like something I could get on board with. Like, you're going to save me time and you're going to get me more results. Of course, I didn't believe it for a second. But when I went on the website and saw one of my college friends was one of Mike's trainers, I shot a text, I got an appointment, I got in, and literally within 30 days of lifting weights for the first time in my life, strength training, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got some definition in my like I literally everywhere I went, I was like, look at this. I was so excited that I finally saw something change because I never had before.